Boa tarde a todos. Sejam bem-vindos à Sala Cresmina, mais um espaço de partilha e debate da C10 2025, que este ano tem como tema mais resiliência. Nesta sala vão estar em destaque momentos dedicados ao fortalecimento do ecossistema nacional de cibersegurança e a sua integração no contexto europeu, promovidos pelo Centro Nacional de Coordenação. Sem mais demoras, vamos então dar início aos trabalhos. Iniciamos esta tarde então com um painel de debate com o tema de NCC Network and European Cooperation. E sem mais demoras, chamo então ao palco Mr. Carmelo Dimauro, from NCC Luxembourg, Mr. Héctor Ibáñez, from NCC Espanha. E para moderar o painel, convido a subir ao palco António Costa, do Centro Nacional de Cibersegurança e do NCC-PT.
Hi. All right. I think we can probably to have some better organization. I think we can start. So good afternoon, everybody. Just let me to try to present also, do the double presentation also of our colleagues from and thank you very much. It's an honor for us as NCC Portugal to have your presence over here. So Carmelo and Héctor, in the representation of the NCC's Luxembourg and from the NCC Spain. We are a network of 27 NCCs scattered around Europe. It's mine? All right, thank you very much. Okay, that we are supporting the ECCC. Is if you want to call it a new agency that is focused on bringing industry, research, and also cooperation between the activities of the ecosystems of cybersecurity to somehow develop a more strengthened community and a more strengthened ecosystems and economy of the cybersecurity in Europe. So the national coordination centers, they need to cooperate to strengthen the cybersecurity at the national and European level. So we act as NCC as a contact point for the ECCC, and this cooperation aims to enhance the cybersecurity research, the development, the innovation, and also to facilitate access to funding and promote a better and stronger European cybersecurity industry. I think this is our main focus in this case. So the cooperation I think the three aspects of cooperation of NCCs, they include the cooperation based in building a stronger community of cybersecurity, a cybersecurity community as stated in the regulation. I also want to state one thing. We have also the honor to have Pascal Steinchen over here. This is the head of the General Assembly of the Governing Board of the ECCC, so thank you very much for your presence. I think we're going to also have some questions to you during the conversation, but let's try to have this as an open conversation where we, as audience, you can engage with us and try to somehow have the better explanation what is the NCCs, what are the NCCs, what is the ECCC, and also what are our missions in this case of the community. So we have also the great thing to have here is because Carmelo is also managing or coordinating a working group that was built from the governing board that is managing the building of the community and strengthening the community at the European level. So thank you very much for that also. So I would like to start with the first question, and it will be to you. What is for you, or what is for the NCCs? What was your vision as? What is the community? What is the community from the point of view of the NCCs, and also from the point of view of the regulation? And how can we put the community to cooperate between ourselves? Because you don't understand Portuguese, but the keynote, the opening session talked about cooperation, talked about we cannot work as asylum, as a country. We need to work as an overall community, cooperating between all of us if you want to get more resilience at European level and get more sovereignty at the European level. So a community should be looked at a point of view of all the Europe. So you have that responsibility to the governing board. So just to have this start up this question: what is for you the community, the cybersecurity community, under the point of view of the National Coordination Center and also the point of view of the CCC?
Thank you, Antonio. First of all, I would like to thank for the invitation. I'm really delighted to be here today. I've been traveling this morning, so I was really committed to be here because I think to be here means exactly to make a step forward to the build of the community. So if you ask me what it means for me to build up a community, first of all, I will say that in a sense, the European community doesn't exist anymore. We are there just to work together. So the first thing is that we are in the phase of building a community, especially because everybody in each country in Europe is focused on building a national community. So on top of that, we are so ambitious to build also a European community. And this is, let's say, a really strong political message. Political in the sense that we are Europe. We need to collaborate. And that for me is the most important aspect. It doesn't matter what, we need to collaborate, to cooperate. Cooperate from Latin means operate, work together. And that's exactly the point. About what? Building a community. But, I mean, what it means a community on the field of cybersecurity. I mean, we've been asking several times this aspect. Community could be the community of experts, community of engineers, community of society, community of company. In reality, I mean, we can talk about the definition of the community that is state on the regulation, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's formal. But for me, community means a lot of things. So cybersecurity is, let's say, quite brand new subject field because in the last few years it has an explosion in importance. But I think the community itself, as you wish to define it, is not ready. It's not ready because there are a lot of layers in order to define a community. And there is a community of scientists, a community of research, the community of business, the community of private citizens that need to understand and to cope with new concepts, new ideas, new threat. So we have a big challenge in front of us. But there is no way. Everything is interconnected. Cybersecurity, by definition, is something that has no space, no time. It's a kind of...
and no geography. And no geography.
So we are forced, we are obliged to cooperate. So that's just the introduction of this particular. Then we will touch on I think later also the other aspects.
If I can interrupt, Carmelo, I was trying to do a parallel with a session or the conference that I had during the times of my student. It was a long time ago. I was a student, but I had a professor. that was also a very interesting scientist in Portugal. That one day I was having a conversation with him. He told me, "What is a scientist?" It's more or less the same. What is a scientist? What defines a chemistry, a scientist or researcher in chemistry? Because I can research chemistry in several ways. I can be a doctor in electrical. We were discussing the concept of researcher, to how to do a benchmark of researchers to define a scientist. What is a researcher in, for example, the idea was, it started to talk about chemistry. I only came the word is, I can study the chemistry of rocks, but I also can study the chemistry of the space. There are researchers in chemistry, but I cannot compare with that. So even the terms of the community can be different between all of this. So, for example, the colleagues from Spain can have a small twitch in the definition of the community, because what is cybersecurity and then what is resilience for us as country, but how can you see the resilience at European level? And also I'm looking at the regulation, I think that it was a very smart thing to put in the regulation. Thank you for the guys that regulation that created a big problem for us, but also to open the very big door for us in the definition of the community, because they stated that the community can be a member of the industry, but also a research entity. So there is a concern to join up the innovation, the research and the industry in cybersecurity in this case, giving the responsibility to the NCCs to cooperate be among themselves to define a common sense of community, passing that burden to us, but at the same time opening the capability to have better cooperation with better understanding of that. So, Héctor, just to put it in the conversation and to have also to your opinion and then start a conversation based on this capability.
Thank you, Antonio. So before explaining what we understand by our community, what we believe its importance, and where we see it going, well, we would like to thank NCC Portugal, also Centro Nacional de Cibersegurança for the invitation to the event. For us, it's always a pleasure to come here. After all, well, being neighborhoods, almost brothers, it's very important for us to support, as Carmelo has said. This is part of the community, and also, we always exchange in this sense. So from NCC Spain, from INCIBE, the community that we have been building over these past years is leveraged by different initiatives that we have deployed at national level. INCIBE is the Spanish National Cybersecurity Institute. For those that do not know it, our constituency is private sector, citizens and academia, which is a very good starting point for a community. And in these past years, we have had different initiatives where we have engaged with universities and have deployed both university chairs for programs and curricula on cybersecurity, also strategic projects on research on lower TRLs. We also have an entrepreneurship program with associations all across Spain to foster ideation, incubation, and acceleration of startups all across Spain. We have also conducted public purchase of innovation initiative with more than 200 million euro, just focusing on cybersecurity, where we have more than 100 contractors from the private sector, and the median ticket, the size of the project is of more of 1.5 million euro. And we also have other initiatives for the internationalization of the industry, for example. If we take all this and also other different tasks and responsibilities that we have when it comes to awareness of citizens, companies, and minors, we have a community there. We already have this community, and we believe that the real value of the community is the connections that these different actors can make between one another. Because if we look at the, let's say, size of public funding deployed through these different mechanisms, is of more than 500 million euro, which is a lot, very good. But it pales in comparison with the amounts that we see of public funding and private funding in other parts of the world, such as the US or China. Earlier this year, we knew that Google acquired Wiz for more than 30 billion US dollars. So if we look at what is the private funding cybersecurity in Europe in the 2021-2027 period, it might be even less than just one operation in the US. So this is the landscape where we need to operate. This is where we need to compete. And if we want to stay competitive in Europe, we need to leverage the nature of our productive system. We have a lot of SMEs. We have companies and capabilities related to them that are very dynamic. And in order to foster these different connections of knowledge, of human talent, and in order to connect the different processes, we need to create this community. This is the real way that we can differentiate Europe from the other competitors, because if we just base competition of who has the bigger wallet, we are not going to get there. So if we need to raise the resilience of the European ecosystem, if we want to keep on increasing our effort in being the most secure place in the world, we need this community. We need the national communities that, as Carmelo has said, are still forming, and we will need to interconnect these communities just to ensure that if in X place there is a certain type of entrepreneur or member of the community that needs another member from other place, this connection, we can make it happen.
Yes, I think that is you touched it's just a very interesting point that we need also to discuss. That I think this is one of the activities that is also very important for that is also very important in the case of cooperation, and also it's one of the missions of the NCCs and from as stated in the regulation, is to provide support for the thing that companies need to be competitive, is to support for money and also to support for working in the strengthening of the cybersecurity industry and the overall economy in this space. One of the mechanisms that we have that is available on the several mechanisms of funding of the European funding mechanisms is the financial support of third parties. And we are starting, or we are seeing projects that are using that mechanism to not only the ones that are coming from the NCCs. We're going to have a presentation afterwards regarding a project like that is using FSTP mechanisms to support the ecosystem that we have in Europe. That is the small and micro companies that can better get the support for financing in smaller projects, but they are more also they are with objectives that are in the timeline for fulfillment. It's very quick, so it provides acceleration, but also brings responsibility to NCCs, because we need to have more capabilities to guarantee that we don't have duplication on financing that. So how do you see, for you and Carmelo, how do you see the cooperation between NCCs in those kinds of activities, where we can all together create the FSTP mechanisms and projects? What are the case studies that you know of that we already have undergoing under the NCCs that is based on the FSTP mechanisms to better support at European level, the smaller and the SMEs, to get them to get more resilience and get more capabilities to be more competitive in the market? So
So just for the audience that maybe might not know it, this financial support of third-party FSTP mechanism, the way that is articulated is that EU Commission acknowledges that, well, they do not have the resources nor the knowledge available to conduct a smaller set of calls that can target specific capabilities present at the regional level. Over these past years, EU Commission is starting to prefer, when it comes to the different EU calls, bigger projects of consortia that can handle it on a almost independent or manner, that they do not need much foreseen from the EU Commission. And this mechanism is completely different in the sense that the Commission provides a set of funding, provides funding to a project, to a coordinator, to a project member, and then this project coordinator or project member will then deploy a smaller set of calls of, for example, 60K, 100K, 200K. It depends on the specific call that will target a smaller type of projects, a smaller type of companies. So we as NCCs, in our own NCC project, we now need, it's a mandatory, to deploy financial support to third party. This is a great mechanism to tackle the different problems that we might have in our respective national communities. And, well, I, as Spain, will not have the same needs as Carmelo as Luxembourg or António as Portugal, and we have the flexibility to adapt these calls to our regional instances. And then we can also cooperate in deploying this financial support to third parties, but not only in our NCC projects, but in Digital Europe program funded projects that can deploy financial support to third parties. And we have examples of this here at the stage. We have one project called Secure, where both Luxembourg House of Cybersecurity and INCIBE are project members, where we will deploy FSTP, this financial support to third party, all across Europe in order to help small and medium enterprises, also focusing on micro enterprises, to comply better with Cyber Resilience Act. And then, well, there is also another project called KISDI, that we will talk about it later on, around 5:30, I believe, that deploys financial support to third party to help pen test providers deploy pen test and risk assessments on critical infrastructures. How can NCCs be also engaged here if they are not part of the project? Well, making a great effort in disseminating the calls at the national level and also making these different types of matchmaking happen and the sharing of knowledge. If I'm an NCC that for X, Y, Z reasons do not share these type of opportunities at the national level, bring the people that is deploying these calls to talk with my national community, I then will have a smaller number of participants and therefore less competitive proposals applying to this set of calls. So here in this financial support to third parties, there is a lot of room for collaboration between NCCs in order to increase the width of the calls and the capillarization of the calls in our respective national communities, but also when it comes to ensuring that, well, there is no duplication of efforts. Let's see what Luxembourg is funding, what Portugal is funding, what Spain is funding, and what are the different problems or challenges that we all have encountered, and how we can make sure that our upcoming calls, the next calls that we are going to publish, are a great success.
Thank you. What the Héctor, I share everything that Héctor said. So, providing providing funds is always good, of course, to sustain the economic system, the ecosystem. So, basically, small company that need to grow, they need to develop a new project, they can find money. This is good. But I will say that it's easy. It's really easy. You receive money from European Commission or from your state. You try to manage that. You make the call. You try to disseminate. That's okay. But it's not for me, it's not the real challenge. The real challenge is to help, from one side, this small company to grow in culture, beside, to be really focused to stimulate the demand. This company needs to have a market. And our really, probably is my own idea, but this company, they need to be able to tackle a real market. Market means that customer needs to be aware, small company need to be aware that cybersecurity now is a reality. Cybersecurity is not the future, it's the present, even the past. So our challenge, okay, we will help company to grow, but that company are already aware about cybersecurity. We need to create the demand. We need to create the condition for having a really dynamic national market, I will say, European market. That's why, I mean, I will not talk, maybe we talk later, I'm so critical with Atlas, because European Commission is trying to collect information, data about company. But that is really narrow way to see the problem. We can stimulate the small enterprise on providing, on evolving, on promoting new technology, or to be really innovative. But that's one small side of the story. We need to also to take care about the rest. Because I'm not an economist, but in order to have a market, you need to have an offer and a demand.
Yes, you need to.
And then you try to compete with the best technology. That's what Europe must do. Otherwise, we will keep on depending from the United States, Israel, and if we have no money, from China technology. So if you ask me what is the real challenge of the NCC network, I will answer directly, yes, we support a small company to grow, blah, 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 blah. But that's easy because they are already on the field. They are not already there. But I will say we need to help this company to grow and to prepare the market for them.
And also to stimulate the market.
Yes,
so we have companies, I think we have companies in the room. So if anyone wants to do a question, then just raise your hand. I will try to see them and then get you the mic. So please intervene and be criticized. And criticize our opinions at the same time. So we need to have, if you have some questions regarding that, please intervene.
How many companies there are on the room? There is any small company?
I see the Agents of Innovation over here, the Foundation for Science and Technology. The rest of the ones I don't know. I see someone from the National Cybersecurity Center. I see consultancy entities over there. So those are the people that I know of. So if you want to intervene, please. If you don't want to know about anything regarding the cybersecurity.
Yeah, so I think it depends a lot on the program that we are talking about, because we find completely opposite scenarios if we are talking about Digital Europe or if we are talking about Horizon Europe. Because in Horizon Europe, most entities that participate, they tend to be very proficient. So they have wide experience in participating in EU projects. They already have a good agenda or with good connections in order to form a consortia, and they are well aware of what is the whole process and what are the different trade-offs when it comes to participating in EU projects. So the support that they are usually looking for in us is more nuanced, in the sense that they usually are looking into how can I improve my proposal, because this is a very competitive program, or maybe I need a very specific type of partner, can you help me find it? But when it comes to the Digital Europe program, most of the entities that are very competitive when it comes to Horizon Europe, because most of the calls are, we were talking about this before, most of the calls are co-funded at 50%. Universities and research and technology organizations, they find very hard, if not impossible, to take part in these calls. So that leaves a big gap. And what are the entities that are coming interested in these programs? Well, mostly SMEs. We are seeing that an increasing amount of SMEs are starting to be awarded grants under the Digital Europe program. And some of these SMEs have no idea of what is this European projects type of initiative all about, what it needs for a company to be part of an EU project. That is, after all, a culture thing, in the sense that, what we usually advise them is that if you have no prior experience in any type of competitive EU call, please do not coordinate a consortia. Just find a consortia where you will do a smaller part, maybe can be a work package or some tasks under a work package, and then you see what this whole EU projects phase is all about. And you see what are the different administrative requirements, and you then can assess properly when it comes to calls that will come into the future, whether it makes sense for you to participate or not. But we find a lot of companies that they just get the message that, the EU is giving money away. Basically, this is the way that they see it. So how can I participate? But they need to understand that there are learning costs that apply to applying to EU funding. So preparing one proposal, the first proposal, might need the same amount of effort than preparing the next three. And this is the main message that we try to share with them. We have some entities that are very good and need more nuanced support, and there are other entities that do not know where to start, and we try to support them in understanding, okay, what are the pros and cons of applying to EU funding, and how can you be more competitive if you then decide to apply.
Can I just do a small comment regarding one of the things I think you wanted to know about also is how do we have the procedures set up inside the network? So we work we have some formal and non-formal established workflows within the network that we share the opportunities between all the NCCs, between several platforms that we have inside the network that we are putting into the flavor of the cooperation inside the network. For example, if a doubt, question, or an opportunity for creating a consortium it comes from reaching out to the NCCs, we share it within the network. I think we should also augment the cooperation in the sharing of the opportunities. But Carmelo told one thing that I need to refish again, do some refishing, because it kept easy in the back of my mind. It's because it's very important that we somehow discuss this, because this is important for the NCCs. So NCCs should not be seen as injections of machines of money for FSTP. We need to be seen as injection machines of results of the FSTP to create the demand. And if you want to have a strong economy, you need to have the supply part, but also the demand part. We cannot cultivate potatoes without anyone wants to eat the potatoes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just create things without any results. And this is a discussion, a very interesting discussion, and a discussion that is focused in creation of innovation, research, connection to the industry by the part of the supply, but also for the part of the demand. And we are creating inside the network of the NCCs, the cooperation that we have, it's based on trust and some kind of validation that is coming from the NCCs, that when we share an opportunity or a capability to create some results, it's trustable. So if I get an opportunity for a consortium that is coming from Luxembourg or from Spain, I know that is already that I know that someone from the NCC in Luxembourg has talked with the company, matured the idea, and stated that that project that will be supported by this project or this consortium that will form will be having a product that will can be consumed by the industry, and the demanding is there. We can also to try to support the demanding. So workflows are some of them are informal, other ones are formal. We need to. This is the network is a recent network, so we are still struggling with the maturity and creating some resilience, but we are working in this formal way, and we have also the capability to have the bridge with contact points with other networks. For example, the DEP NCPs, and also with the Horizon NCPs. Thank you very much for being here. So, is the Horizon NCP in Portugal? So, but this is the capability to do this. So, but
I just would like to report our experience in Luxembourg, also talking with other colleagues. So thank you for that question, because your question is exactly on the spot. So we have money for making some project, so it means some experience, and sometimes I'm not even able to build up the consortium or good proposal. So considering my own experience, there are different type of actor. There are like university, there are project machine. They do a project, they finish, they switch to another. So they do that as a business, let's say. Yeah. Then there are, but in my vision, they produce research just because, allowed me to say, because it's easier, they have to produce new publication, new papers. Then there are, but that's their own duty. Then there are the real end user of the project, like I don't know, real industrial company. There are critical infrastructure operator. In that sense, sometimes it's difficult to involve them. They are let's say, the target, because they are the final beneficiary of the result of a project. But they don't have the skills, they don't have the knowledge for running a European project. That is difficult, it requires 6 months of preparation, then if you succeed, you have to wait 6 months, then you run the project for other 2-3 years. They are not structured for that. So they are not willing to participate because for them it's not a priority. Then there are other actors, they are there for looking for opportunities. So I see a really big challenge for the NCC. And the challenge for the NCC is exactly to help any kind of institution, company that is really interested to develop a proposal that are really effective in order to find partners around Europe. And that's, I think, is a big field for improving the functionality and the help, the support of the NCC. So, I mean, not only the NCC needs to work, needs to be a kind of bridge between the national community and the European community. Somebody that is able to smooth the path or to facilitate the connection with the expert that is in Portugal, with the complementary expert that is in Denmark, for instance. So, but in that sense, I have to admit, we need to still do a lot of work to improve, to coordinate between us, to be able to help maybe the consortium that has really added value. So there is something that NCC still need to do.
Yeah.
So,
sorry.
Okay.
No, continue. Sorry.
No, I just finished. For me, this is another initiative to build a community that, in the end, maybe is rather an immature community, but help to stimulate the development of the European community. So it's something that we need really to focus on.
Yes, that is very important. And if you do the bridging between the industry, the academia, and trying to not to get the research activities or the research projects, but try to bring them into the productization and then follow up with other kinds of funding like DEP programs, by trying to do the matchmaking also not only for projects but also the matchmaking from the supply and the demand. We connect that. I think that is the mission, and it brings me to another.
Sorry, Antonio. Also, because NCC has an opportunity to contribute to the definition of the program. So, if we have the opportunity to understand better what the community needs, what are the capabilities, what are the skills, what are the priorities of the community, we can adapt also a little bit better. It's true that are defined in Brussels, blah, 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 blah. But we still have the opportunity to contribute, yes, to tune better this program. Not only this, but we can also help in the end of the project to disseminate the result, to share the result among the community, to stimulate open source development, to really to create, to look as the old cycle of the generation of added value. So NCC must be something that is there to support the process, not for making money, not for making somebody rich, not for making somebody to do the next publication, allow me to say that, but just because the focus of the NCC must be, from one side, the national community, and from the other side, the European community. So there are a lot of aspects that we can take care, we can improve, and in that sense, we improve together if we cooperate.
Correct. And we can. We have an holistic approximation. If I can make this in this case, the holistic approximation is, for one hand, and the demand part and the adaptation, advise the CCC for in the working programs, and also to follow up the program with better knowledge and experience, and also to somehow direct the FSTP, the cascade funding that we have at our national programs, and we need to be aware that an NCC like Portugal that has cascade funding program, it's not only for the national community, it's adapted for the needs of the community, but it's open to all the European community, cybersecurity communities. It's the same of if Spain launches an FSTP program, nothing impedes a Portuguese company that is to apply for that if this is this market, and then there's the capability to supply the needs that are under that. So it's not a closed program it's also cooperation. And we have the capability to somehow transfer or help to transfer the technology for companies, for the industry, and also to promote the results at the end. So to somehow to re-element all the cycle for new research and development to industry and everything. I think this is the only this is one of the main focus also of the NCCs, but because you also deal with skills, with capability to help the industry to better to identify the capability of training of the labor market. So it's the holistic view is there. So the NCCs and the ECC have this capability to somehow do the complete cycle of support and I think this is better. One of the things that we, as cooperation, and as in the terms of cooperation, are starting to do better as a network, not only to support that financing project, but to see the whole picture in this case, and have discussions between all of us in this sense. So
I must say that we struggle to talk each other at the moment.
No, we need to do, but we need to have some kind of discussions but bring also the industry, bring also the SMEs, bring also the companies into the table, and not only have discussions between ourselves, but also to bring the community and we talk to community and the stakeholders. They cannot be members of community; they can be stakeholders and. Everyone has the same voice and the capability to better support and better to help, because our mission is to support the ECCC to do the better decisions and do the best investment in this kind of collaboration. And let's bring this to the table, the thing that Bruno has said a few moments ago, I think, because I know his history, that is the part of research. What is the capability of the NCCs and ECC that we have to somehow put the industry cooperating with the research, because we are now talking about this, putting the industry to cooperate with the research to somehow do research to somehow create the capability to be self-sustainable in the part of the demand. So what are you doing, or how can we better do that, this capability to join up these things? Because when I look at the Horizon and DEP programs, I look at a vertical program for research and a vertical program for uptake of, but in some cases I see in the DEP, okay, we can support companies that are already at projects with the results of the project, but how can we somehow do better cooperation between these two types of projects to create more streamlined involvement? For example, engaging more research entities in the DEP projects, or involving more SMEs in the Horizon projects. What is your approach in your countries in this case?
But, let's say, actually, the two programs are different. In the purpose is different. Just to make it simple, Horizon is more related, even if it applies to research, it's more related to fundamental research. And the project they have big budget with big consortium, because the European Commission tried to finance flagship project. And for me, it's okay. I mean, the problem is not to finance good project. That's fair enough. But discussing with the European Commission, also for the European Commission, it's important that the result of that flagship project must be able to have an impact on the community, and the impact on the European Union. So that's a big challenge for the Horizon project. DAP instead are more concrete, more applied research. It's still research, how to develop, I don't know, more innovative SOC. It's important. Yeah, what are the tools that I need in order to? So it's still research. The question is always that, I mean, from what I can see, the fund is never enough, of course, and there is at a certain point there is a misunderstanding. Because the misunderstanding is that this program finances some project 50% or 70%, 75%. But it means that there must be a commitment to put the other money on the table. And the impression is sometimes that people, they don't care about the project itself, they don't care about the innovation, they take care about the money. Let's do that project just because there is a call, yeah? Not because I'm doing something and I'm doing because I have to do it or I want to do it, and then I have the opportunity to have a lump sum of 50%. So this is kind of bug, a kind of a mentality that see these two programs as an opportunity for raising funds, not for supporting something that is already going on.
Yes, the support is to augment the competitiveness of Europe.
Yeah, so sometimes talking with the university, talking with the Institute of Research, they say, yeah, this is a really interesting topic, we are working on that, but they finance 50% and we can't cope with them. Yeah, but you're supposed to do research.
Why don't you apply the research in the project? And
it's your mandate to do research. You have the opportunity to have 50%, so you must be lucky. No. Because they want 100%.
What is the driver in motions? It's bringing research entities to their projects with their results and then to do the productization of their projects. For example, another thing that is very important at European ecosystems is the digital innovation hubs, is the capability to have those kind of entities also to support this kind of activities. And do the matchmaking, do the technology, the transfer of technology, support startups, or it's bringing SMEs to the Horizon project to do the project for research themselves. These two ways they function. One more for research and do the big pilots at European level to try to do the concept tests by research and innovation, fundamental research, and try to create a pilot. And the other one is for productization. It's try to bring to product. But I think we this cooperation, it functions if we bring research and innovation into industry, or bring the industry to the research and innovation. So the trends in countries, they vary depending of the competitiveness of the research and also from the competitiveness of innovation. So it's possible to have the NCCs to support and to see what is the best things. I don't know.
I don't know what is the best. I don't have a clear answer. I mean, could be both. But I would like to say just that Horizon project normally foreseen in the structure of each project, they want to understand, the European Commission want to understand how the result of the project can be sustainable in the future. So it means that you need to demonstrate that your proposal has a concrete, is sustainable in the future, even when there is the end of the project. In the reality, I don't see that works very well. So maybe your suggestion to be able to have less ambitious projects, but that engage really the SMEs, the industry in a more effective way, that could be the solution. But that is, again, it depends, I don't know, but for sure we need to bring that result to the reality.
Yeah, the approach that we are taking is that, first of all, that the competitiveness issue is more related to depth compared to Horizon, in the sense that we mostly get complaints from universities or research and technology organizations saying that they would love to be part of a Digital Europe program, but the co-funding makes them unable to do so. And the approach that we are taking is that we try to leverage the connection that these entities have with the private sector. What do we mean by this? So we might conduct webinars just with universities and research technology organizations, because, well, we have a good cohort coming either from the initiatives that we have conducted, from the Strategic Projects Initiative. We also have a national network of research with both universities and research and technology centers just focusing on cybersecurity. And what we tell them is that, okay, you might not be able to participate, but for sure there will be spin-offs coming from your university or technology-based organizations that researchers that have been here participating at Horizon Europe projects now are interested in, let's say, capturing funds in order to develop this same technology in the private sector. So we encourage them to raise awareness among the different researchers that might be already part of their team or might be part of an old team that are now part of university spin-offs, or might be even subcontractors from research and technology organizations. And maybe the research and technology organization might be subcontracted to a smaller part, and that would be the way that they can be further engaged in depth. So for sure that they directly might not be able to participate, or the incentives are not there, but for sure they might have a very important stakeholder that might be the key player to take part in the project. So we try to make these connections happen, because otherwise there will be no transfer for Horizon Europe to Digital Europe program, because we will have one set of entities participating in the Digital Europe program, SMEs that have not a lot of experience in EU projects, and then bigger organizations that are just looking for the 50% of co-funding and have already the structure in place, so the administrative burden is not as much, so it makes sense for them, or it's profitable for them to incur in this type of projects. And then we will have in Horizon the research and academia sphere, but no connection between these two. So we are trying to maybe connect them closer just by looking at these stakeholders that are common in these two types of cohorts.
So I think we are starting to run out of time. I have the time. We are starting to get out of time. But I think you have. Regarding this conversation, I would like to thank you for this conversation. Also to thank the patience from Pascal to be here to hear us, to see our pains and the gains of the difficulty of cooperation in the NCCs. We need to cooperate in lots of things. We do lots of things. But I think the two to three lessons that I learned over here, and I hope that the audience also learn this, is we cooperate a lot. We are doing lots of things, but we need to also to see the holistic point of view, not only to see the NCCs as in financing injection machines, but also to as disseminations and try to create the demand and in the industry. So we can get a better economy, a better ecosystem at European level if we do the both of the parts, not only the part of the FSTP, but the FSTP needs to, or the finance, but the finance needs to be supported with the result, and we need to search the result and do the mathematics of these results. So thank you a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you.